very briefly, before I talk about how I implement an inbox in Roam Research, I'm just going to talk about the concept of an inbox. I, of course, got this, as many of us of this generation have, from Getting Things Done, David Allen's seminal work, usually referred to as GTD. And the idea here of the inbox is that it's the one capture and collection point for everything that guarantees when you process it, you're going to be looking at everything one at a time. Not going to just be trying to process a whole pile, one thing at a time. And as you process it, you decide, what am I going to do next? Does this belong in an existing project, or does it need to be broken down into its own project? Am I going to give it to somebody else to do? I'm going to do it later. Am I just going to throw it away? Is it not actionable at all? Or is it not actionable but something that I need to refer to? Everything gets decided upon in that inbox, and that's why it's so critical. For myself, for my clients, I do have a physical and a digital version, but everything gets sorted at the same time, so it functions as one inbox. So in Roam, the way I built an inbox, the way I implemented here, was, shockingly, I created a page called Inbox. The page itself, the neat part about Roam, of course, is that pages are tags, are, they're all the same thing. Attributes are pages. The tags are pages. Everything, these are pages. So the inbox page, everything is going to show up here in linked references that I tag inbox. And there's nothing much here because obviously I'm not using my primary Roam to show this off. I didn't figure you all wanted to read about the various jobs I need to do around my house. But I don't use this linked references simply because it is too cluttered and not very and I have to re-filter it and things like that, depending on what I'm looking for. So I actually put them here in the inbox. In the inbox, I create a little area that I put a query in, and my query. I'm not going to go into the layout of queries because they're a little bit tricky. And not the purview of this video, but I've laid it out here. So this query is saying anything that's in the inbox, tagged inbox, but not daily list, weekly tasks, monthly tasks, annual tasks. That's all my recurring stuff. And so I don't want stuff that I'm probably not going to tag anything inbox that shows up there, but just in case, I don't want it showing up here. One thing to note about my inbox tag is I don't require that it be tagged with a to-do. This is simply because if I happen to have forgotten to put to-do on it when I throw it into the quick capture or when I type it into a place, I don't want that to mean it's not going to show up where I can review it. When it gets reviewed, I'll decide whether or not it is an actionable task, and then I'll throw a to-do on it. Sometimes sometimes I bring them in here with a to-do on them, but generally speaking, I think conceptually an inbox is not things coming in are not necessarily to-dos yet. So I don't have that built that way. And my quick capture, I don't actually have it built right here, the query, but I would just do the same thing here. I would just have a query that says everything that's in the quick capture is going to show up here. That way, if I happen to do a quick capture where I forgot to put an inbox, that's still going to show up here too. My inbox, it becomes that comprehensive gathering point for everything. Then, once I'm looking here in the inbox, when things come through, I am going to tag them with where they're actually going to go in terms of being a project, in terms of being in the right context. Now, this is important, and this is a little bit of the manual stuff with Roam. I can't delete inbox off of this until I've added the other tags, simply because this is here via query. And if I take inbox off, it's going to go away. It's going to go and disappear from this spot. It's findable, of course. It won't go away forever. And a good old, I'm on Windows, so Control-Z will bring it back right away. But it's easier to just do it this way. So if I need to do this right away, I'm going to throw this on my next list. So we know it's going to be next. I know that if I'm going to write a recommendation letter, I'm going to need to be at my computer to do so. So I'm going to write it with the computer. And apparently I didn't put that in here yet. Maybe I put Office. Those are separate for me because obviously I can travel as well. And I'm going to put it under the context of my coaching. Well, it's already tagged there, but I'm going to do it just for the sake of the tag of the to-do. And having done this now, I'm going to go back and take inbox off of there. This particular task is a one-off, so I don't need it to be showing up in a particular project. And you'll notice it disappeared immediately from the inbox, and I'm not going to show you all of this yet, but it's going to show up right over here on my lists over here. Oh, great! I didn't put computer because I didn't do that. How about we do this just so you can see that it's going to show up. We'll throw computer into this query and try not to and oh heck. Now you get to watch me have some fun here. I need an or here because now I've said either of these will work for that. So we'll fix that little thought process there for myself. And now we'll find that computer shows up right here. Everything that I have for that computer is right here. Here's Tom Smith's recommendation letter has shown up. That little diversion there, I could have restarted the video, but I actually think it was worthwhile for you to see that I was able to just simply throw an or into this query. The format is unusual, but by throwing the or there, I'm now saying it's definitely a to-do, it's definitely on the next, but it is either Office or computer, and then, of course, not all this other stuff. The idea here, now one last concept, is if I wanted to create a project for something. Sometimes I'll actually full-on tag something project, so it'll show up in a separate project list. For my money, that's only for large-scale things. I only do that if it's, some kind of, we have a bathroom that we need to repair because we had a leak under the toilet. That would have a number of tasks under it that are specifically tied to that project. I would probably create those tasks with that project. At the very least, create it somewhere and tag it into the project, so it's going to show up on the reference list when I review that. But by and large, structurally, project to me just means top-level task. Anything underneath it is subtask. So, everything underneath that, every subtask underneath that is the more specific kind of actionable tasks. So that's, for me, I don't get too hung up on whether something's going to show up on a specific project list. Your needs may vary. I have a lot of little things as opposed to a few big things, but you could certainly create a project list here by building it simply and putting actual pages on there and breaking them down on the pages and know they're going to show up in the right contexts. You could also just use the system I'm talking about and tag everything in there. So that's the general idea of how I handle inbox and sorting things and build that out so that everything shows up in the right thing. One last little note. I mentioned projects. I mentioned these contexts like home and computer and office. I do also use areas, sort of like Tiago Forte's projects areas, the para method, resources and archive. I find that I tagged coaching in that one. For me, tagging by area is at least as important as tagging by project. I know that there are differing schools of thought on that, and that's fine. But for me, it's useful to see how it fits into my big picture. My areas are the things that are most important to me, and I want to make sure that everything that's coming through and being done as a task has some connection to those big things that are important to me, my big priority areas. So I tag them in like that. But that's how I handle inbox, project, sorting, and how the contexts work for me. I'll talk in the next video about how I apply dates to these tasks.